Welcome to the Business Finance Bulletin, episode 129. Welcome again to the latest Business Finance Bulletin with me, Rob Warlow from Business Loan Services, the commercial finance experts. Well, here we are 1 week on from my Brexit special bulletin, and as I did warn in that bulletin, in this week's episode, more Brexit fallout news, also looking at late payment and business confidence. I think we can guess what's happening there. Let's start this week's bulletin by taking a look at the continued fallout of the Brexit vote. As I mentioned, I think this is going to be a common theme in this bulletin over the coming months. Now, politically, things continue to move very fast. From an economic point of view, things are beginning to settle down a bit, whereby business owners are now beginning to see the impact, whether that's positive or negative, on their business. Now, obviously, this bulletin is very much finance focused, so let's just start this quick wrap up from a finance or access to finance perspective. Well, this week, the Bank of England governor announced that he is trying to encourage banks to continue supporting small businesses by relaxing the amount of capital that they have to hold against future shocks. He's changed the calculations, which basically means now that the banks don't have to put so much capital to one side that they can't lend out to businesses. So by relaxing the rules, the governor estimates that banks will now have up to an additional £150 billion to lend out to businesses that they couldn't do before. Now, the key thing here, of course, is to realise that that 150 billion is just a figure that banks can lend out. Of course, it's down to each individual bank as to whether they wish to lend out. But as I mentioned in the special email I sent out to the subscriber base just earlier this week, my evidence I'm getting from the banks is that they are very much still up for lending. They still have the appetite to do business. Now, obviously, this is going to change week by week and month by month as we get into this whole exiting Europe scenario. So the best thing to do is to continue A, watching these bulletins, and B, speak to your bank just to make sure that they are still up for support. As you recall, in last week's bulletin, I left you with a number of actions, and one of those actions was to review your overheads. Take this as an opportunity just to take a step back from your business and just see where you're spending your money. And I know a couple of business owners have done that, and some of them I'm speaking to have had very stark results, realising that perhaps they were a little bit lazy in managing overheads. So if you haven't taken that action yet, do so. Go through all your overhead and chop the ones that you're not getting value, or take it as an opportunity to renegotiate terms. One other fallout, a couple of bulletins ago, I mentioned that Funding Circle, the online crowdfunder, were getting up to £100 million from the European Investment Bank. Now, they made that announcement 1 week before the referendum, and it does seem now perhaps it was a bit of a hasty announcement, because Funding Circle has said that given the exit result, it does look as if that line is not going to be made available. Still a question mark, but who knows? And just shows that the impact of this exit vote is now beginning to be felt. So there we are, a quick roundup. I say this will continue to develop over the coming months and weeks. So keep watching this bulletin, keep watching the news. But most of all, make sure you keep a positive and optimistic outlook, because the opportunities will still be there. Sticking loosely now with the EU referendum and its fallout, interesting report out this week from the Federation of Small Businesses as part of their quarterly Small Business Index report. The report for quarter 2 2016 had just been released, and most of the surveys were done prior to the referendum. But perhaps not surprisingly, in that report it showed that small business confidence levels were at their lowest level since the report started in 2010, and saw the biggest drop in confidence levels. Now, it's not a surprise, because in previous bulletins on the lead up to the referendum, I have been saying that there is evidence coming out that business owners were less confident anyway, even before the result. So what the report revealed, particularly on investment plans, for example, only 12% of business owners said that they were planning any significant investments over the next 12 months. Now that compares to 32% saying they had investment plans 12 months ago. So So we've gone from 32% saying they were looking to invest down to now 12%. That's a massive drop in confidence. Businesses also reporting that they were seeing job cuts and also fall in profits as a result of increasing labour costs and also hiking costs generally. So the message coming out of that report is even before the referendum result, business owners are already starting to feel less confident as they anticipated that referendum coming up. So the key point here is, of course, as I mentioned in the previous point about being optimistic, there are opportunities to trade out there. Yes, some businesses, and particularly exporters, are going to be suffering a little bit from increased prices of raw materials, but it's a case of hunkering down, watch those overheads, search out for new markets, and make sure that you are ahead of the game, ready for when the upturn starts to come back again. Moving on to our old friend late payments, and this is one problem which is just never going to go away, I don't think. A latest survey just come out from Xero, the online accounting software packager, just pointed out that 52% of the businesses they talked to said that they worry and suffer from late payment, and that this is having an impact on the way they manage their business. In particular, in terms of the time it takes in order to chase payments. They reckon that they are anywhere between 1.5 days to 1.3 days that businesses are investing in chasing up invoices. And of course, that's time that could be spent on other more profitable parts. And what are the reasons that their customers are giving as regards late payment? What are the reasons being thrown back at them? Well, 32% of their suppliers said, well, I'm waiting for payment, therefore I can't pay you until I'm paid. A common problem. Also, 27% of them saying that they are confused because there's lack of consistency in payment terms. I guess that means, well, one person saying 30 days, another saying 60 days, another saying 90 days. I'm too confused. I'm not sure what your terms are. I don't quite follow that one. But at the end of the day, it's all down to making sure that you chase hard and have a systemized approach when it comes to invoicing. And what's the bottom line, the impact for business owners? Well, 37% of them are saying that it is having an impact on their business in terms of a fall in productivity, mainly because they haven't got the cash flow in order to fund growth. And therein lies the nub of the problem. So as I say, the lesson here is to make sure you have a systematized and a very clear process in place for issuing invoices and chasing them, just to make sure that you are the one who shouts loudest and so are front of the queue when your suppliers do have money available. Well, that's it for another bulletin, and as ever, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like and share it amongst your colleagues as well. Remember, if you're watching on the video version on YouTube, there's also a podcast version available on iTunes, SoundCloud and Stitcher. All you have to do is search for Business Finance Bulletin. And if you're listening on the podcast, just pop along to our YouTube channel, just go to YouTube and search for Rob Warlow, and you'll find this bulletin and all the other episodes there as well. So that's it for this week. Thanks very much for being with me. Look forward to being with you again next week. Have a great, successful and profitable week. Bye-bye now.